back like the other ones. Here we have some small hyena cubs at the den site. I don't believe that these cubs are more than a couple of weeks old because they still have the black fur. When you see a hippo out grazing during the day, that's indicative of not much good material for grazing. You can see how barren the ground is here and the dust that this hyena is stirring up. This is a mega clutch of young ostrich. Notice in the background you can see the dust devils. I counted 60 at one time. This bull was about a half a mile over to our left, and he saw us and he decided he was going to take us on. You notice he's raising his head, showing aggression, and he kept walking in a diagonal toward us. Finally got so close that the driver had to start the engine and take off. He was not fooling. He was going to do us some harm. Here's the reed buck again. Very beautiful animal. I think that lioness was being chased by these two because she kept looking back over her shoulder at them. Again, you can see how little grass there is. I don't know how this animal was getting anything to eat because it was just dry straw. Here the vultures are fighting over a carcass of a wildebeest that had been killed by the lions. The jackals are scavenging what's left of that wildebeest carcass. Here the hyenas have, one has a tail and the other is chewing on the skull. I went back to get some more pictures of these cubs here. There's something down in that hole there that they are very leery of. I never did see what it was. Now down in Tengeri, watching the baboons play around a tree, or at least the young ones. Even the young elephants got into the swing of things, some mock battles. You determine who's going to be dominant when they grow up. Here we have the fish eagle, which is very similar to our bald eagle. It's a long way to bring up a chew of cud. One guy tried to find this in his bird book. He couldn't find it, so this is our mystery eagle. When I got home, I researched this and found out this is martial eagle. It's one of Africa's largest eagles. This mob of marabou storks were feeding on something in the field there. I couldn't see whether it was some kind of frogs or what. Of course, here's our secretary bird, very majestic. This is the ground hornbill. This is another dwarf mongoose. Looking down in Ngorongoro crater from the rim. I thought that was mist blowing off a lake. That's dust. Now you can see the dust blowing. We're on the crater floor now. Warthogs find it much easier to get down on their knees to graze. Thought at first that this baby hippo was dead, and it wasn't. Again, you can see how dry it is with the dust that's blowing up. This fellow was looking directly at us. I don't think he liked us there either. I seem to have some kind of effect on him. This is a bustard. It was extremely windy there and quite cool as we were at 9,000 feet. When we first came to this spot, there were a load of cars, a lot of noise. They asked what was going on, and they said they were looking for a serval, but it had disappeared. So we sat around until they all left, and then the serval popped right out and came right up to the car. I had to lean the tripod over on two legs to be able to keep it in view. When I switched over to my still camera, it caught a snake. This is one of the few rhino that are left in the Ngorongoro. She's there with her young calf. They've been hunted out. And here you again see the crowned crane. We're in the Serengeti now, and this cheetah is out hunting. I was amazed at the difference in animals in the Serengeti this time of year. There were none. They were all up in the Masai Mara. I don't know how these animals survived because there were no prey animals around. These are the only lion cubs that I saw on my entire trip. This lioness must have been providing for them pretty well because they look fairly well fed, and even though we saw no prey animals. These lions are doing what they do best, sleeping. This is one of the few times I saw any movement from the crocs. Usually they were laying on the banks just sunning themselves because it was very cold. When crocs meet like this, you can tell which one is the dominant animal because it will raise itself higher out of the water. And one swimming by is raising itself up to show its full size. Thank heavens I had a good telephoto lens because this leopard was way off in the distance and you couldn't really tell what it was. You just could see something was in the tree with the naked eye, and it took a camera to bring it in so we could see what was going on. I think he had just killed this reed buck because he was rubbing his head on it and never did see him start to eat on it. Never saw him feeding on the carcass. So either he had just killed it and was too tired to eat, or he had already dined and was ready to go to sleep. This is reason number one why I would not recommend walking under a tree with a leopard in it. Boom. Getting ready to go take a nap. It's amazing how easily they can disappear in the foliage when they lay down.